Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. The most important moment in the entire world of One Piece might not have even happened yet. Maybe it's not even close. Maybe what we saw in Wano, with Nika's awakening, with Luffy becoming what he was destined to be, with laughter breaking the limits of reality, was just half of a journey that had been written in silence since chapter 1. Or better yet, since before that. Because if Shanks knew the truth about the Gomu Gomu no Mi, if he went to the government to steal that fruit, if he kept it hidden for years while carrying it around in the East Blue, the weakest sea of all, then maybe everything had already been calculated. Maybe Shanks himself held back the clock of fate for too long, waiting for the right time to hand the key to someone, and that someone could only be one person. It was Luffy, from the very beginning. Now, if we think of Elbaf as the stage for a reunion, maybe it won't just be a reunion between two pirates. Maybe it will be the meeting of two wills. Luffy, who carries the flame of the sun, but still doesn't fully understand what it truly means, and Shanks, who perhaps never had that flame, but always knew where it pointed. And then the training, if it happens, won't just be physical. It will be spiritual. It will be about remembering what was never taught, about recovering something that has always been there, but hadn't quite awakened yet. Because I think the awakening of Nika and Wano was just a call, a wink from destiny. But the scream, the full laugh, might only come later. It might only come when Luffy looks at the world with the eyes Roger once had. And Shanks, if he really is that link, needs to prepare him for it. In Elbaf, and Elbaf isn't just an island of giants. It's not just a new setting. It's the heart of a culture that understands time in a different way. A place where stories are passed down through shouts, through drums, through laughter, where a word means more than a book, where heroes aren't celebrated for winning a fight, but for dancing to the end without falling. And I think that's the spirit Luffy needs to understand now, because after Gear 5, he became a symbol, but he still doesn't understand what it means to be a symbol. And maybe Shanks does, because he saw it in Roger. And he saw what it cost. Now think with me. Shanks, after years away from Luffy, watching the boy become a pirate, make a name for himself, challenge Enies lobby, stand against the government, cross Impel Down, reach Marineford, almost lose his soul there, and then disappear for 2 years, only to return to the New World with a hunger that reminds everyone of Roger's. Shanks saw all that from afar, without interfering, holding back the urge to go to him and say, "You're ready," just observing. Because the right moment hadn't come yet, because maybe Shanks wasn't just the guy who gave him the hat. Maybe he was the guardian of a greater secret. A secret about what the Gomu Gomu no Mi really is. About what the sun god represents. And about what the world fears more than any weapon. Laughter. And then, in Elbaf, when the two meet again, and I think this meeting will be unlike anything we've seen. Maybe Shanks won't look at Luffy as a boy anymore, but as a torch. As someone who is already awakened, but still doesn't understand what has been lit inside him. And maybe the training starts there. Not with a punch, but with a question. Something like, "Do you know who you are?" And Luffy might laugh like he always does and say, "I'm Luffy," but maybe Shanks won't laugh. Maybe he'll say, "No, you're the smile that's going to break this world, and you need to understand the weight of that." And that's when Elbaf comes in full force. Because in Elbaf, the storytellers are the kings. The drums don't beat to summon battle, but to keep memory alive. And then I think Luffy will see that. He'll see how sound changes everything, how the rhythm of laughter can move crowds, how music, like Binks' sake itself, carries a truth that doesn't fit in words. And maybe he'll realize that his awakening wasn't just biological, it was spiritual. It was historical. It was the world's response to the lack of laughter. And at that moment, Shanks might finally share what he knows. About the original Joy Boy, about the Void Century, about what the government fears, about what Roger found and laughed at because Shanks was there. He went with Roger to Laugh Tale. And when Roger came back, laughing like mad as if he had understood everything and nothing at the same time, Shanks cried. And Oda didn't show that by accident. Shanks crying in that moment wasn't just emotion, it was fear. Fear of what was coming. Fear of not knowing what to do. Fear of carrying the responsibility to protect something he knew didn't belong to him. And now, years later, the boy he saved, the one who ate the fruit without knowing, who challenged everything and everyone, is standing before him. In Elbaf, in the place where the gods fell, where the giants guard the stories, where laughter is sacred. And maybe Shanks will finally say, "Now it's your turn." But Luffy won't accept a burden. He's not a martyr. He is a party. And that's what Shanks needs to see. That even after learning everything, Luffy will still laugh. He'll still dance. He'll still believe he can stretch his arms and embrace the world. And that's what's going to save everything. Because destiny has failed before. The previous Joy Boy didn't succeed. But this one just might, because he doesn't want to win. He just wants to see others smile. And that purity, which might seem like foolishness to others, is what moves the world. Maybe the training in Elbaf will last days, maybe weeks. Maybe it'll be just one night around the fire, with Dory and Brogy telling ancient stories, with drums pounding deep, with Luffy listening and laughing, not knowing that every burst of laughter is a step toward the end. An end that might just be the beginning. And when Luffy leaves that place, he won't come out stronger. He's already strong. He'll come out more aware. He'll leave knowing that the world doesn't need a king. It needs a rhythm, a beat that shatters chains, a smile that echoes beyond the voice. And then, maybe he won't move forward alone anymore. Maybe he'll take Elbaf with him, not the giants, but the idea, the sound, the laughter. And in that moment, Shanks might disappear, because his role ends there. He was never the hero, he was the messenger. And the world, which once laughed at Luffy, will now laugh with him. And when the drums start beating again, it'll be the sound of freedom arriving. Slowly, but arriving. If we stop to think about what really changes, it's not just a matter of power. It's not like Luffy will leave Elbaf with a new move, a Gear 6, or a flashy attack that splits the sky. I think what changes with this reunion, with this training that doesn't even feel like training, is that Luffy finally begins to understand the role he has. Not as a hero, not as a captain, not as a boy who wants to become the Pirate King, but as the name the world tries to forget, Joy Boy, the one who smiles when everything falls apart. And that changes everything, because from that moment on, he won't just react to enemies. He'll begin to lead the world. Maybe the first thing to change will be his relationship with his own allies, because up until now, everyone who joined Luffy did so because they saw someone who never bows his head. But after Elbaf, they'll see something else in him, a symbol, and that can create tension. Because Zoro, for example, has always followed Luffy because he believed in his strength, but he never followed out of worship. And maybe when he sees the world starting to follow Luffy as if he were some kind of entity, Zoro will feel that the line between friend and myth is getting too thin, and maybe he'll question it. And maybe Luffy will have to prove once again that he's still just a boy who loves meat and wants freedom. Because the danger of being a symbol is turning into a statue. And if Luffy learns anything from Shanks and Elbaf, it'll be that he must avoid that at all costs, because a statue doesn't dance. Another concrete change might be Shanks' position, because if he really trains Luffy, if he passes on the torch he's silently carried for so long, then his very existence on the board becomes unnecessary. Maybe he'll step away. Maybe he'll give up his place in the new world. Maybe he'll even burn his own name, because Shanks doesn't seem like someone who wants to remain an emperor. He seems like someone who only held that spot to stop it from falling into the wrong hands. And now that Luffy's ready, maybe he'll just vanish, and that in itself already destabilizes everything, because the balance of the four emperors has always been the break on chaos. If one of them abdicates or disappears or consciously gives up their place, the government will panic, because it means they've lost control over the unpredictable. And then, with all of this, maybe Imu will finally step out of the shadows. Because if there's something he truly fears, maybe it's not the army, maybe it's the music. Because music can't be stopped. It can't be silenced. You can hit the singer, you can smash the instruments, but the sound has already entered. It's already stirred the heart. It's already broken the invisible chains the government spent centuries forging. And Luffy, with that drum beating inside him since his awakening, might be the sound they can no longer ignore. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.